Hello, you're listening to The Old New Adventures of Superman, the podcast where my wife and I review episode by episode the TV series Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. One of us is going back to it 20 years later, and the other one is seeing everything for the very first time. Would you like to say hello to everyone, Rochelle?
Hello, everybody.
So we normally start by reading the episode synopsis from Wikipedia. And I've been doing that the last couple of episodes, but we thought just to change things up a little bit, well, you're going to do it for us this week.
Yes. So we have episode 4, I'm Looking Through You, directed by Mark Sobel, written by Deborah Joy Levine, October 10th, 1993. It reads, a scientist named Alan Morris invents a suit that makes him invisible. He uses the suit to steal from the rich and give to the poor as another modern Robin Hood. When thieves steal his backup suits and start using them to rob gold from banks, Alan goes to Lois and Clark, explaining his actions and asking for their help to find the criminals who stole his suits. Working together, they manage to stop the bank robbers and hand them over to the police. In the meantime, Clark feels overwhelmed by how the people of Metropolis welcome Superman, and he even gets nightmares about it. People sell different items with his logo on them, and the mayor also gives him the key of the city. Even Lois' behavior makes Clark feel invisible to her next to Superman, and he does not know what to do and how to handle it.
Oh, thank you very much.
I hope that was all right.
Yeah, sounded very nice. It's a little bit interesting because we only just watched the episode, so it's quite fresh in our minds. Synopsis really mixes things around a little bit. Yeah. Like I was thinking, they just started talking about Alan Morris, this scientist, but it doesn't really start there, does it? Because it's more the end part there that's talking about him feeling overwhelmed. So why don't we get into that straight away? Because this episode starts at kind of a Superman party. Oh,
yes. Yeah, it was like a festival of Superman, wasn't it?
Yeah. Everybody dressed up in Superman memorabilia.
Yeah, banting everywhere of Superman.
Yeah, there was even a life-size cardboard cutout of Superman that was like perfect as well. So I don't know if he posed for that or how they got it.
I was a bit surprised about that, so I don't know how they got that. I don't think he had their approval.
And yet again, I mean, we always go on about the disguise of Superman.
Yeah.
People criticize that, and I try my best to defend it. But when you've got a cardboard cutout of him right there. Yeah.
But did you notice that his hair changed a bit because of the pilot episode? Even in the second episode, he had a bit of like a side bangs going on, but this time it's all like brushed back.
Yeah, swished back, slick.
Easily, exactly.
It's because he's flying so fast.
It's like the air, the winds.
I mean, I was asking you this the other day. What hair gel is Superman using? Because quite often in the comics or in the cartoons and different things, you see him maybe having to shave using his heat vision, or somebody tries to cut his hair and the scissors break. So we know that his hair is also super.
Maybe it's his own sweat. I don't know.
Oh.
Sorry.
Super sweat.
Otherwise it would be like, you can't use any kind of gel.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe it's from outer space.
Outer space gel. Yeah. Cryptogel.
That's a good name.
Right.
Yeah, very catchy.
Copyright. So it starts with him there. Lex Luthor has to hand over the key to the city.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because this scene made me think, Lex is already really hating you, and this attention, I know he's talking there and everything, but I don't think he's enjoying all that attention being given to Superman.
Yeah. And you were disappointed by something that wasn't being given to Superman, because when you saw all the clothing and dolls and statues and everything, and you said, what? Where should the money go?
Oh yeah, the money. Where should the money go? Surely it should go all to Superman, and he'll be super rich and doesn't have to be a reporter.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he has to be a reporter anyway, but it's really a choice.
I know.
So that was the start, and then he gets up there, and it was really weird because it seemed almost like, has Lex drugged him or done something? Because the way he was so overwhelmed by everyone.
He wasn't a very good public speaker, was he?
No, and did you know that in the comics,
Yeah.
in the Golden Age, when
Uh-huh.
Superman had every power imaginable, he actually had super ventriloquism.
Huh?
Yeah.
How did that work?
So he was able to like throw his voice in a super way and distract criminals or trick them and things. So you'd think he'd be a good public speaker.
Yeah, but if you... maybe it's just because it's just the beginning, you know. He's just...
He's not yet developed that power.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think they got rid of that power, don't worry. But yeah, he really like freaks out, and then there's kind of
Yeah.
this almost Beatlemania scene where he gets chased and sort of swarmed by all these
Yeah.
girls.
Surely he could just like fly up.
He could fly away,
Yeah.
he could... And also...
Freeze them.
Yeah, he
Maybe not.
could
Maybe
freeze
not.
them, fly them into space, and he comes back. I don't know. Yeah,
But surely he could have, you know, outrun them or...
I think.
Yeah,
well,
escape.
as we know from Lex's tests last episode, he is faster than
I
a speeding
know,
bullet.
I
So
know.
there really is no reason he couldn't have gotten away. So yeah, it starts with this sort of odd party, but I suppose it's not strange that the people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What's a little bit weird is that he's there.
Yeah.
Like, how did they get a message to him?
Oh, that's
Just
true.
Shout loudly, I suppose. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's fine. I mean, it's that's kind of, I suppose, one of the things about Superman, though, isn't it? That he has that freedom to interact with people. He's not
Yes,
Batman,
yeah,
that he sort of hides in the shadows. He can be.
But even in the Man of Steel, he also received the key of the city. Isn't it? It's like...
I think he's received it multiple times in
yeah,
different
I mean,
forms of media.
yeah,
it's quite a
that's like
common
standard
thing. Yeah.
thing.
This was quite a small key to the city. Usually,
I know, yeah.
usually they're really big, but this one was like a
I
medal.
was expecting a statue of Superman
Yeah.
that would be unveiled, you know.
So well, yeah, it might have taken them a bit longer to make than the cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
So we jump then to the Daily Planet,
Mm-hmm.
and again, sort of they're having their little morning meeting. Clark's there, sitting next to Lois. Kat comes in.
Oh, yes. Wow.
What does she do?
Very aggressively kisses Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would fly in the workplace now. I think she'd be called up.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
HR would get involved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and then there's a little bit of banter between her and Lois,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get to see another power of Superman.
Yes, he saw the plane
He saw the plane. He
out the window.
accidentally dropped his pen under the desk, and then we get to watch him super crawl under the desk.
I thought that was
out
really
of the,
funny.
out of the building to save the plane. So that was
super cool.
that was interesting. They were trying to find a story, and Lois is becoming a little bit disheartened, discouraged,
Yeah, discouraged.
giving up on Superman. He doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
noticing her.
She felt a bit invisible, let's say.
Oh,
Oh.
foreshadowing. Yeah. So then Jimmy pulls out some kind of tabloid, sort of
Yes.
those classic, aliens abducted my husband newspaper kind of journal things, and it's about a invisible Robin Hood,
Mm-hmm.
and not
She
that
wa-
he's shooting arrows,
No.
but that he's robbing from the rich to give to the poor. We should
She
stress
was,
that.
Yeah, she was very dismissive about this idea, wasn't she?
She was, and
All through the episode, she was
yeah,
like,
so okay, if we're going to bring that up now, yes, and she shouldn't be. Like, I can't, I couldn't really handle that, because I can be dismissive of the idea of a person being invisible.
mhm.
If you came to me and said, hey, there's an invisible man walking down the street, I'd go, very unlikely. But that's because I don't live in a world where there is a man who is flying around,
Yeah.
who's caught me, who's flown a spaceship into space. Like, just in the
Yeah.
episodes we've seen, the things he's been able to do, there is no reason for her
I still wonder
to
what
doubt invisibility.
Yeah, what does she think Superman is? Does she think he's an alien from outer space?
Well, he told her he's from Krypton.
I know. Then why, like,
Yeah, so why can't there be aliens that are like
invisible.
chameleons that go invisible? It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. So, seeing as I've backed myself into the corner of bringing up Batman every episode, I've already actually done it this episode, but I'm going to do it again.
Don't worry, it's gonna be a.
I get that if it was like in the kind of Batman, like the Nolan universe, where everything's very grounded in reality, you've got this superhero, but he is just a man.
Mm-hmm.
Then if there was something very odd, you could say, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense because everything Batman does can be rationalized with technology, with training. But you're not in that world. You're in the world where you've got Superman.
Yeah, so
he
everything
can shoot
is
lasers
possible.
from his eyes. She reveals in the episode she knows he's got X-ray vision.
Yeah, I wonder
She's seen
when...
him fly. She's seen him eat a bomb.
Yeah.
So the concept of an invisible man, she was having as well, not just hearsay, because later we see that she actually sees footage of this invisible man.
Yeah.
And she still
doesn't
believe it's possible, which... Lois, I don't know. What happens next? I don't even know where we were.
Yeah.
What happened just now? So they talk about this.
Yes,
this,
invisible man.
This invisible man, and then conveniently, a woman shows up who knows Lois in the sense that she gave a talk at her women's group, and she says that she is the wife of the invisible man. Lois is ready to just kick her out. Great reporter. Clark, on the other hand, is a little bit more accepting, and they end up going to his lab. She explains sort of what happened and she says that anyway they kind of drifted apart. They didn't really speak much anymore anyway, but now this, she saw him leave, heard him speak, opened the door, closed the door. He was invisible. And then the episode sort of shifts because we start to see this invisible man committing a number of violent crimes, whereas before his crime...
No, but before that, the wife actually was interviewed on television, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she announces that, she's the wife of the invisible man and asking for him to come back.
That's true.
And so I think that obviously attracted the attention of our villains here. And then they went to her house and stole the stuff.
Yeah, definitely, because we suddenly see a change, and all these crimes have become more violent. People are getting hurt, and so this invisible man has seemingly the power has corrupted him. He's become.
I was thinking, could it be that the drug that he took that made him invisible also corrupted his character and brain chemistry, and hence became bad like that.
Yeah, the good theory.
Yeah.
So that's your first impressions. This
is
where it's nice coming. I knew it was a suit, and I knew someone else had stolen it, so it wasn't. Okay. But as you were saying that, I was thinking, yeah, why not? It was a good. It's a good reasoning, and I've seen it. You've seen it happen in other movies or TV shows because they've taken some drug that's given them power. It has corrupted their mind in some way,
like in Flash.
Yeah.
What's his name?
DeVoe.
Yeah, DeVoe. Yeah.
The Thinker. Yeah. So we've said that they're doing these more kind of violent crimes, and again here because they end up having this episode is going to be a lot more choppy when we're explaining it because it was difficult to kind of keep track of exactly where events were happening, but they had so many of these suits.
Oh yes, yeah.
But we find out that they're stolen. Actually, Clark has this really weird dream. That kind of comes in the middle, and there's not really an explanation for it per se. But he stays behind working, so we see him working, and then he sees Lois, even though she'd already left.
Yeah.
And then Lois stands up. Then Perry's there, Jimmy's there, Kat's there, and they all kind of take off their jackets, and they
started laughing.
They're all dressed as Superman underneath.
It was so weird. They started laughing. You know what it made me think? It made me think of the laughing gas that Joker has. Yeah, because the way they were smiling and laughing.
Yeah. See, now you're referencing Batman as well.
I know.
Jennifer will be be happy. So we have this weird dream, and then he wakes up and he falls from the sky. He was flying in his sleep.
Levitating again. Or elevating.
You got it right, and then you corrected yourself wrong.
Oh, it was the other way around. Oh.
So we see this happening, and while he's having this nightmare, Lois gets a knock on the door. Once again, remember that there have been multiple reports of an invisible man. She opens the door on the chain. Very wise. You live in a city. You live... Well, here she seems to be living alone. I thought she was sharing with her sister in the last couple of episodes, but her episode...
it looks like a different apartment, to be honest.
Wow. Different room. We saw the kitchen this time, so maybe that's why. But we see that she opens the door on the chain. Nobody's there.
And she opened the chain and opened the door completely wide. And, if it was me... Oh, no one's there. I'll just close the door. Or someone knocked my door. No one's there. So probably they're hiding. So I'll just, close the door, double lock it, triple lock it, and call the police. I don't know.
And call the police. No one's there. Hello, police. Hi. Yeah, nobody's at my door.
Or I don't know, call someone and be freaked out.
So she doesn't do that. She lets someone in, and it turns out to be Alan Morris. So he basically, I think they call Clark. He comes over, and then she explains everything that happened. That he's made this suit. That's what does it. It's based off of a light bulb, and the science behind it. I don't know how. They don't really go into detail, but they mention that it has switches inside, so it's got to be turned on.
So if it has switches, surely it has batteries.
And so surely it must... We'll come back to this.
Okay.
Because I have also feelings about the switches and the power, like needing a power source.
Yeah. Can you imagine... Sorry, this is just a tangent. Can you imagine if you have this suit and you have to plug it in?
What, to charge it?
To charge it. That would be so funny.
That's all right. You can plug it in when you're not wearing it. If you have to wear it and plug it in, that's a problem.
Yeah, that would be a problem. We can't go anywhere.
Standing invisible next to a wall.
That won't be any use.
So, explain. He ends up going back to Clark's to stay there. Clark has to disappear off, and he goes back to Smallville, sees Mum and Dad, who have an enormous collection of
it's like
Superman toys, and they quite like them.
Her mom was really pleased with it.
Yeah.
Whereas the dad was a bit,
But I think...
I don't know.
Oh, because you know what we've skipped as well? Because he went before this, there was a winner, buy a date auction kind of thing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And we see both Lex getting auctioned off and then Superman as well. And another thing we've not mentioned is this, kind of PR guy who keeps showing up.
Oh, yes.
Murray Brown. And he's trying to, I want to represent Superman, and he's giving his card out and doing skywriting and all of this. And the whole time you're kind of like, well, Superman wouldn't do that. I mean, Superman would never sell out. He wouldn't do that. But then he turns up for this auction.
I know.
So,
I mean, he doesn't need to do that. Why would you do that?
I mean, the amount of events he's turned up for, I don't think it would be a stretch. We could probably get him on the podcast.
Yeah, call him.
I'll just shout. He'll hear us.
Yeah, Superman.
So... If Dean Cain wants to come on the podcast, we'd love to have him on.
Oh, dear.
Or Terry Hatcher. To be honest, we'll take anybody. Kat, we want you.
Yes.
So where were we? So he's talking to his mum and dad, and they're sort of... It's funny because he's speaking about Superman very much in the third person.
Yes, a different person, yeah.
As if, Superman... I don't know if Superman can handle this, and Superman that. And the mum kind of calls him out on this. She's like, hey, you're Superman. What's going on? And he's struggling to keep
up with it.
Keep the two parts. He says something about he's losing himself, basically.
Yeah.
So he's kind of got this crisis of being famous, I suppose. Is the only thing. He's not used to the fame, but
it's like the more Superman is becoming famous, the more Clark Kent is becoming invisible.
Oh, what again? Foreshadowing. Another thing is the fact that when he revealed it's a suit, Lois was very much on her high horse of, you see, a suit, that's possible. I told you a person couldn't really be invisible. A suit, that makes sense.
Oh my goodness, she was really he was still invisible. You
Yeah.
can't see him.
She was quite childish this episode.
I know,
You kept pointing that out.
yeah, she was quite childish. Yeah.
So basically they found out that people broke in and stole the suits. And as I mentioned before, he had a team of about 4 or 5 people.
Yes.
So they all had suits.
Yeah.
Then all their guns were invisible. So they obviously also had enough material to cover all of that.
But at that last scene when they were all revealed, their guns didn't have the suit.
That's true.
So I don't understand why
how it worked. Because also whenever they took anything, it didn't disappear. But then there was some dodgy things as well, because like when they were loading up the gold, so they've gone to rob this this gold storage facility. I don't know what it's called.
Bank.
It wasn't a bank though, was it? It was more like I don't know, like Fort Knox type thing. It was a big gold storage. I'm pulling a blank on what that's called. Anyway, not important. Moving on. It's not Superman related. So he has to go off to get Superman figures out, because there's also a scene. Sorry, this episode is really choppy. But there's also a scene where,
and we just watched it.
It's the synopsis that I can't follow it.
I mean,
but there was a scene that basically Lois has gone to the apartment, to Clark's apartment. Alan is there staying the night. Lois is there in the morning, and she wakes up, and Superman's there.
Yes.
And he's like, I met Clark at the court office.
Oh, you're close.
And Clark told me to come here, and
it's like they're best friends.
Even the phone rings, and he just answers the phone like, I'll pick up the phone, no problem.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it was Martha, that he pretends that it was Clark. He's like, Clark, hi Clark. He sort of realizes what he's done. He's really bad at keeping this secret.
He really,
But so he figures out a way to make the invisible visible. Okay. So off he flies. He's going off somewhere. He's got a plan. In the meantime, Lois, conveniently, because Alan has yet another additional suit, and also makes a statement, one size fits all.
So it's like very stretchy.
It didn't look particularly stretchy. It looked quite thick, and it's, as we've mentioned before, it must have like a power source inside.
Yeah.
So he goes off to get this thing. They decide to go and investigate themselves the robbery.
Yeah.
Of course she does. Again, putting herself in danger. Oh, Lois. So they actually get caught. Mm-hmm. But like as well, that when they go and they see them, they spy on them, and it's just, some of them don't have the hood on, so you can see their head but not their body. Some of their arms are visible, so I get it. So we can kind of see,
so you could see him with the suit.
Yeah, it's the white suit, but you can see it. It was
just have the hands moving around. I suppose he didn't put the gloves on, so.
But it was kind of weird. Like I guess they've just done it so we can see them. But
I think it's because it's hot inside that building, you know. And then I think the main guy just turned his suit off because, hey, I'm the boss, so you have to see me, and I'm the one that is ordering you around. So
you need to know it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise,
it could be anyone else.
You might not follow the orders. So basically, he goes and gets a big bag of phosphorus, because that is what is used to reveal the light in. What did he say they were? Fluorescent lights. Yeah. Very good. So they come out of the bank, they're shooting at the police, he arrives, and he just tips this big bag of phosphorus all over them, and it reveals them. My problem with this is not that it wouldn't work. It would work. But it was still reliant on him seeing like where they were and sprinkling this on top, right? Could he not have just poured a tin of paint over them? It would have done exactly the same thing, because it would have just revealed where they were. Or he could have thrown dust down on them, or he could have used his super breath to blow dust all over the thing, and it would have revealed them.
Probably
there were multiple ways.
The material wouldn't react as good as the phosphorus.
But even with paint, I think it's just that idea that if it had got some way that he could have put maybe something over his eyes or done something so he could see them no matter where they were, that would make sense. But going all of that way to get the phosphorus...
Why didn't he invent like glasses that could see through them? That could see the,
Because he's not Batman. That's what Batman would have done.
Yeah, that's true. That's what Batman would have done. Yeah, like a night vision goggles or something like that, or day vision goggles that could see.
Just reveal some infrared spectrum
exactly,
that they do show up on.
Yeah. Body heat, you know?
So then,
glasses.
Funny you should say body heat. Because my other thing is that we've mentioned these suits must have a power source.
Yes.
And a power source...
must be so hot.
Okay, but I was actually thinking it would make a noise. There would be like a buzz or something. He has, again, super hearing.
That's true.
He'd be able to hear where they are.
Yeah, but he wasn't really... He didn't really get like a, face-to-face contact with them, did he? That was the very first time that they went and see where they were. And
it was over so quickly.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, they'd locked Lois and Alan in a vault that was airtight, so they were running out of air, and Superman goes and gently opens the door to this vault that probably cost a lot of money to make.
He charged into the wall.
Smashes the wall of, if we said if this was a bank, then he's just smashed a hole in the wall of the bank. So, well done. Nobody takes pictures of him and calls him a menace like they do Spider-Man, but he's
true,
smashing the wall of a bank down, which is surely a menacing thing to do. Anyway, he saves Lois. She falls into his arms.
It's a bit too cheesy even for me.
Even
this
for you,
scene.
and that's saying something.
Oh, that's saying something. Yeah, definitely.
And
they almost kissed, but they didn't.
Yeah, and then
she fell on his arms.
Well, anyway, then the scientist Alan, he gets back together with his wife. He's got a new job at LexCorp, so he's going to be working there. So possibly this invisible technology might show up again somewhere.
Yeah, Lex
maybe in the hands
it.
of a supervillain. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then we're back in the Daily Planet, and Lois is there, and she comes over to Clark like, I don't want to, I don't like to be the kind of person that says I told you so. She absolutely loves to be that kind of person.
Oh, yeah.
But she just says, I told you there's no such thing as an invisible man. And Clark very poignantly says, when she's walked away, he says to himself, oh, Lois, there is.
It's me.
It's me. Yeah, he doesn't say that, but he pretty much says that. Stands up, like waves his hands. Yeah. It's me. I'm invisible.
Invisible on her eyes, because she's still really in love with Superman, but I haven't really seen Clark. Yeah.
Even though Clark, again, like the way he spoke with that with the scientist's wife, the way he handled different situations, he's such a nice guy.
He is.
She should like him.
I think she is liking him in a sense.
I think she is, but then part of me feels like maybe he should just leave.
Go with Cat.
Yeah, go with Cat. I'm Team Clark Cat. That's my.
Oh, let's ship them. Let's see.
It's never gonna happen.
Clark Cat.
but I think
Clat. We could call them Clat. That sounds really bad.
Terrible. That's probably why it didn't happen.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Maybe season 2 will be Cat and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Although I already told you she's only in season 1, so I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. So, good or bad? Where would you put this episode? Not where would you put it. First of all, good or bad?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Not sure if you liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't know.
What didn't you like?
Lois. I didn't really like Lois in this episode, really. Like, she was so childish.
What about Clark? Did you like him?
I like him very much in this episode because it's more Clark and his struggle. He's really not comfortable about being Superman. Yeah,
it was quite a strange episode in that there was a lot of Lois and Clark. The other character, like Perry, we saw very briefly. We did get a Great Shades of Elvis, which was nice.
Yeah.
Jimmy, again, like very few lines in the whole thing. It was more
them. And
Kat got a bigger part because she was at the auction as well. And she had some great lines in this one. Her and Lois had a real back and forth a couple of times, which was nice.
Like with this, it seems more like Kat is a bit more perceptive as a person compared to Lois, because she keeps I don't know. She keeps saying, "Oh, I know you," or "I see you," "I know what you," something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think she just sees that Lois is just chasing Superman like a mad woman.
Yeah, like her.
Like her with every other
With
man.
every other man, exactly.
Yeah. Any standout moments? Anything that you thought in this episode was particularly good or particularly bad?
Oh, I really didn't like that Superman was at the auction. That for me, it was just doesn't make any sense. Why would Superman be in an auction like that? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's not part of his job
so
description.
there was,
There's
describing
any.
the auction a little bit, there was Lois and Kat. They were kind of bidding with each other. A few other women got in on it.
Yeah.
Like Kat, I went up to like $9,000.
Yeah.
And then this very wealthy woman just was like 50,000,
Yeah.
wins the auction. So she has spent 50,000 for this date. Superman leaves very quickly because
Yeah.
Clark turns up while Lois is moping
Still
around
there, yeah.
because she didn't win the date. So what did she pay £50,000 for?
I think it's for like
a
an
5-minute date?
Well, I think it's like
I would ask for my money back.
yeah, but still, it's Superman, so it's woo. Look
He
at that.
didn't even take her flying.
Oh yeah, I would definitely ask for that.
Yeah.
Fly me around the world, please.
Well, it doesn't need to be around the world. I'd settle for one building to the next.
Oh,
Do you know what? He doesn't even have to fly me around. He could just hold me and leap a tall building in a single bound. I'd be happy with that. What about dating the show? Normally we try to highlight something that
okay.
dates the show, but to be honest with
there's
you...
not a lot of gadgets here, is there?
Well, I mean, the gadgets were the suit.
Okay.
That doesn't really date the show because it's not a technology that we have readily available now, that I'm aware of.
But if you
if
think
you've got an invisible suit and you've got a spare, send one over. I'd be more than happy to try it out.
But I think if there's like a modern show that would have that, they would have it like all like skin tight. Or
Yeah,
something
it
like
would
that.
look different, and
Yes,
there'd
yeah.
probably be a different.
It wouldn't be white,
explanation
would
on
it?
No,
It wouldn't be like
it wouldn't have
glittery
that
white.
really dodgy hood with like an eye hatch that opens.
Yes.
No, it would look different, but also, although I like that about it, that it does look homemade. Homemade,
I
only that he
suppose.
homemade 50 copies of it, which is again annoying.
Well, he did
me.
work for it for 15 years.
But the
so-
15 years was to develop the technology, and then why would you make that many?
I think he was planning to sell it.
Oh, maybe. Because then what happened to it after that? That's a good question. Like,
Well, Lex has it now.
oh, I see. He should have. That's a mistake. He should have kept that.
Yeah.
Sold it himself.
Yeah.
But there's a big market for that.
But I think he was also scared because obviously it was his invention that caused all the troubles. So I'm sure he felt really guilty about that. And just really happy to have a job at Luther Corp.
Yeah. Is it Luthor Corp or Lex Corp? Can't
Oh,
remember
I don't
now.
know. We'll have to check that.
Yeah, because I don't think they said in this episode. I think they just said that he's working for Lex Luthor as the head of. He must have said it's either Lex Corp or Luthor. I'm not sure. I think it's Lex Corp.
Yeah, but I think anyway half of Metropolis is owned by him at this point.
Yeah, well, he was the previous owner of the key to the city.
Oh.
He did also say something later when he got into. After that scene when he got into the limo, and he's again a really weird
I know, I
conversation,
missed that one.
something about snake boots or something.
Oh, I
don't
missed
know.
that one. I missed that one.
Yeah, really.
Oh, we did see the snake at this episode.
We didn't, or we did.
We did. Just a very briefly at the beginning, I think.
I don't know what's going on with this guy, Lex. He's a bit crazy.
Did you see his highlight on his hair, on the top?
No. Funny I didn't notice that. I've not noticed how slicked back Superman's hair is or
I
Lex's
did. I
hair.
noticed that.
So you're obviously coming to this with a much more critical eye than I.
No, it's not that. It's more, the appearance matter.
It's more that you got your hair cut the other day and now
Oh
you're
yes,
noticing
yeah, I
everybody
know,
getting their
Of
hair
course,
cut.
of course.
So we have to rank the episode.
Oh, it's gonna be so tough.
It's going to be tough because we now have 4.
Yeah,
So,
it was easier when it was just one
It was easier when it was 1, yeah?
or 2.
Well, even 2 made it difficult. You had to put one above the other. So at the moment, the ranking stands. Pilot episode 1.
Where is our list?
Our list is currently
Invisible.
invisible. It's wearing one of the suits. But don't worry, I've got some phosphorus. I'll just reveal it now.
Oh, there is invisible pen.
Yeah. You just need some lemon juice to reveal it.
No.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Where are we? So episode 1 pilot, that's top. Episode 3 is in the middle, and episode 2 is at the bottom. Where are we putting episode 4?
What was episode 2 again?
Episode 2 was Strange Visitor from Another Planet. So it was the one where they came in at the beginning and...
Okay, let me see. So the second episode is a bit more, let's say, a bit more...
boring. Nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens on that one. There was no... well, there was a bit of a villain and stuff, but not as eventful as the pilot, or not as interesting as the third one. The fourth one... it's really difficult because I liked here the struggle of the character of Clark. You know,
Yeah.
he struggled to be two different people, two different person. So that's quite interesting.
And I think that even if it was a little bit kind of on the nose at times, and Lois's sort of refusal to accept it, at least this episode had a beginning, middle, and end. It had a character introduced, set up. We saw like this technology, it's fallen into the wrong hands. This is what they're doing with it. Superman saves the day. So it was like a full contained episode.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas episode 2 was much more just sort of setting up this agency that's disappeared. We've not heard anything from them again.
Yeah.
Episode 3 was just Lex kind of going, oh, can Superman do this? Can Superman do that? It was all disjointed. It wasn't...
episode 2 is like... what is it? No, I can't remember now what I was going to say.
Well, when you remember, let me know.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, you just punch me. And
Exactly.
Go, oh, I remembered what I was
I
going to say. So I think this episode still not as good as the pilot,
Yeah.
but I'm going to put it second on the list.
Yeah?
It's a list of 4 episodes.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to stay second for very long,
Mm.
but I think it was better than episode 2 and episode 3.
Okay.
Or would you put episode 3 above this one?
I still don't know. I'm so bad at this.
Well, then I'm going to put it there, and you'll have to accept it.
Okay, I'll accept that.
So, the ranking stands at the moment. Episode 1, episode 4,
Sorry.
episode 3, and at the bottom,
We should
episode 2.
have a criteria
We do.
to judge the
Which
episode.
is good and which is bad. That's the criteria.
Oh, come on, that's really vague.
But
and you are like saying, oh, there was a beginning, there was the beginning, a body and an end, a villain introduced, and a development, and the catching the villain. There was a story.
Yeah, but I'm saying that,
Then
and
you
that
should,
that's what
you know,
made...
Put that as a criteria for the rest of the episode, all the other episodes.
No, I disagree. Because I think if, for example, a few episodes down the line, Bureau 38, 39, whatever it was called, like show up again, they were established in episode 2. But if they show up again and do something really incredible, I wouldn't say, well, they didn't have a beginning, a middle, and end, because it is part of an overarching story. So that's fine. It's just compared to episode 2, compared to episode 3, this one was a bit more of a full episode. Like episode 3 was a full episode. It was just boring. Because it was just test 1, test 2, test 3.
Yeah,
Whereas this was a little bit more something happened, they investigated.
All right,
and they
okay.
solved it.
So I remember what I was going to say.
Oh, good. So I'm not going to get punched.
So number 2 is like The Force Awakens.
Why? In what way is number 2 like the first? You've said this now.
No, just
Explain yourself.
Just in a sense, just an example, a little bit, because it was like introducing a lot of characters and then leaving it to that.
So your hot take is that nothing happened in The Force Awakens. They just introduced characters.
No, that stuff happened, but also a lot of questions.
So in the sense of it just leaving a lot of questions.
Yes, that's what I mean.
So what you're saying is
he's
that
just like
JJ
ready to attack me. My goodness.
You can't just make a statement like, it's like The Force Awakens, full stop. You've got to explain why you're saying that. And now we know what you're basically saying is episode 2
they did say,
introduced something but didn't tie it all up and
exactly.
has left.
They did say like it was like a Pandora box, that's what I mean. And the episode 2, it's somehow like that. A lot of things introduced and questions and we're gonna know it in the future, something like that.
Episode 2 of a 22-part season strangely left some questions unanswered. Okay.
Oh, come on. I've never seen this episode before. And I know, as you've noticed, my husband is a very big DC Marvel comic fan, so he knows a lot of these things, and I don't. I just watch the movies, and he would tell me stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
So it's just through my eyes. Is that how I interpret them?
Well, thank you for being here anyway. I appreciate your support. So,
but I do like to talk about it and ask questions and ask whys and stuff.
So I think that brings us to the end of another episode. So I promise by the next episode I will have written down this list, because probably 5 episodes in I am going to forget where we've put everything. But,
and you should also write the reasons why they're on that list. Your criteria, you see.
I think it was going to already be a stretch to have me actually commit to writing the list, and now you want me to write details on the list?
Well, it will make it easier. Otherwise, you say, why is it in top 1 or top 2 or top 3?
Okay, I'll try and add a few lines next
Otherwise,
to each episode.
you'll ask the audience our listeners to rank them.
Yeah, no, I should just ask them to tweet me or
send
me a message just telling me...
tweet us which episode's your best episode.
No, I think they should just tell me where did I put the previous episodes.
Yeah.
If anyone at home wants to make a list for me, I'd appreciate that. Very good. So, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Old New Adventures of Superman. At the moment, we're not loving Lois.
No.
We love Superman.
Another thing. When were they in their apartment when they went out in a balcony and like looking up the stars, and Lois said, we're the same clock. You want to fly like Superman? I want to fly with Superman. Was that outside his apartment?
Possibly, yeah.
And he has a balcony.
Well, why not? He's on the top floor. He's got that big window at the top.
I thought he didn't have any view.
Oh, I don't know. I've not been there. He doesn't invite me anymore. I'll let you know next time I'm around. Where was I? So we were just leaving.
Just concluding.
Just trying to wrap up for the 3rd time. It only took me 4 times to do the introduction, so it should only take 4 more times for me to try and do the conclusion. So once again, I'll just leave you with our social media. You can contact us through Twitter at ACWPod or Instagram at ACWPod. You can email directly aconversationwithpod@gmail.com. You can visit the website aconversationwithpod.com. That, of course, is all linked to our other podcast, A Conversation With, where each week I have a conversation with a different guest on the topic of their choice. We've got some interesting guests lined up for the following weeks, so if you've not already listened to that, head to the website and you can find out what's going on over there. Also available on iTunes, as this one is as well. Speaking of iTunes, if you do enjoy what we're doing, head along there and leave us a review. 5 stars would be nice. It's not mandatory, but would be nice. Not for me, it's for Rochelle.
Oh yes, otherwise I'll stop.
You could leave me a 1-star review, it'd be fine, but we want to encourage her to keep going. We've got 3 more seasons after this one. So head across there to contact the show, and we'll leave it there for now. It's very, very late where we are, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again for episode 5. Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.